Remember red light, green light from Squid Game, where the doll turns to look at you every time the light turns red? Imagine if that doll can turn its head 8 times faster or in 8 times shorter intervals. I can guarantee that nobody will be able to survive that, because not even the tiniest twitch that you make will be able to escape the doll's super quick reflexes and almost zero latency. When it comes to PC gaming, there's something called polling rate, which measures how many times your mouse or keyboard reports your inputs to your computer. Kind of like how quickly the doll's camera tells the sniper turrets who to shoot. The higher your polling rate, the more instantaneous your real-world inputs translate into in-game actions. Today I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Corsair's AXON technology, which aims to give you competitive FPS players an almost God mode advantage. But how does it all work? Your mother no teach, I teach you lah. Full disclaimer, in case it's not obvious enough, this video is brought to you by Corsair, but we did do an unbiased review on their AXON-powered peripherals, so feel free to check that video out if you haven't already. But before we go any further, you must be scratching your head and wondering, what in the roti telur tak mau telur is Corsair AXON? Yes, because both of those things are equally confusing, and AXON isn't actually an abbreviation for anything. It doesn't stand for anything, as far as Google can tell me, and also Corsair's website. Corsair's AXON is Corsair's hyper-processing technology that is embedded into their latest peripherals such as the Sabre RGB Pro, K70 RGB TKL, and K65 RGB Mini. This onboard system delivers record-breaking throughput with ultra-low latencies for the ultimate peripheral performance. To break it down for you, hyper-processing is the ability to process instructions and inputs quickly and efficiently. Throughput is the amount of data passing through its onboard system, and latency is the time that it takes for your input device to process your mechanical input with your hands and send those inputs to your PC. All gaming peripherals containing Corsair AXON has an SoC or system on a chip, meaning that there's actually a chip inside your gaming peripheral that does all the hyper-fast processing in your mouse or keyboard. Some of the main features that come with Corsair AXON are: number 1, hyper-fast. Its onboard system in the peripherals will actually help to optimize the processing of instructions and inputs more quickly and efficiently than the previous generation of peripherals like the Corsair Kata Pro, a gaming mouse, and the K60 RGB Pro gaming keyboard. Which brings us to number 2, multi-threaded. This means that Corsair AXON can take advantage of all the threads and cores of your CPU. So it's recommended that you use a more powerful CPU when using an AXON compatible peripheral to maximize its ability. This is because multi-threading enables your peripheral to process multiple complex instructions at the same time, which definitely comes in handy when it comes to gaming while having all those crazy RGB lighting configurations. Number 3, deterministic. Corsair AXON also has an advanced scheduling algorithm that makes sure that critical key presses always get through when they need to. Like that one last shot you need to finish off that last player standing. And finally, at number 4, we have hyper-polling, which basically amounts to your peripherals transmitting inputs, whether it's your mouse clicks, movements, or keystrokes, to your PC at very fast rates. Corsair AXON transmits these inputs at up to 8 times faster than their previous generation of mice and keyboards, as we've mentioned earlier. It does this by sending reports up to 8,000 times a second or 8,000 Hz, resulting in smoother movements and higher accuracy. Now enough with the technical jargon, let me tell you how it actually works. Now with a mouse like this Sabre RGB Pro, AXON can deliver ultra-fast clicks that is 8 times faster than the previous generation Kata Pro, with as low as less than 0.115 ms media latency at 8,000 Hz polling rate, so you can go click click boom at your enemies and burn them to crisp with your sheer awesomeness. But if your KD is still trash, then you should probably quit gaming, since it's definitely not your cup of data, right? Now, how does it work with a keyboard? With the K70 RGB TKL, AXON delivers keystrokes and actions up to 8 times faster than the previous generation K60 RGB Pro, which results in media latency as low as less than 0.25 millisecond at 8,000 Hz polling rate. It also detects keystrokes up to 4 times faster than the K60 RGB Pro due to that 4,000 Hz key scan that works in tandem with the hyper polling to provide you fast and responsive inputs. And it does does this by simply scanning for inputs a lot more often. Now, as we all know, the secret weapon behind every PC Master Race gamer is RGB. In fact, there's no such thing as overkill, and we want so much RGB that it will give us insomnia for 6 months, because sleep is for the weak. Jokes aside though, if you spend so much money on your gaming peripherals, chances are you want to look at fancy lights when you're gaming or not, whatever, it's your money, I don't know. But how does Corsair AXON actually help with that? Now, to those of you who actually paid attention when I was explaining all these fancy features of AXON previously, the answer is very simple. It's the multi-threaded utilization. Feel free to go back up to understand more if you haven't already. Go back and watch. I'm watching you. Didn't pay attention. Oh no. If you want to find out more about the Sabre RGB Pro or the K70 RGB TKL and the K65 RGB Mini, feel free to check out our previous compilation review on that. But in short, the Sabre RGB Pro has a dynamic 2-zone RGB backlighting, while the K70 RGB TKL and the K65 RGB Mini both have 20 layers of onboard lighting effects that you can sync and customize with all your other Corsair peripherals with Corsair iQ, which I have also covered extensively in a previous video, so feel free to watch that as well. Now, for the moment, we are all waiting for the real-world implications of this AXON technology. How does it actually relate to you? Will it actually help you gain a competitive edge over all the plebs and noobs out there? Personally, based on my previous review on all these products, I noted that the 8000Hz hyperpolling rate is more noticeable when it comes to the mouse than it is with keyboards. To seek a second opinion in case I'm too noob to tell the difference, I've invited my friend Fayde, former coach for Team SMG Valorant and Twitch streamer, to test these products out and show us how it actually would potentially help us gain a competitive advantage. Hey, how does it feel to be the only member that didn't get to makan with JJ Lin?
I think I was busy preparing for tournament that time.
Sure, whatever makes you feel happy. Anyways, are you excited to test out these new products from Corsair with the Corsair AXON technology or not? And then it comes with 8000Hz polling rate. Have you heard about it being used in the pro scene?
I'm excited to test out these new products, and I've heard about it in the past few months, and I think last week they just added a new patch that supports 8000Hz polling rate.
For Valorant?
Yes.
So literally last week?
Yes.
Apparently you have to change some settings in the game also, right? To actually...
yeah, you have to turn on a new beta feature in the game to support the 8000 polling rate.
You know, it will have like what?
You will have like frame lag if you don't turn that option on.
It's not the problem with your computer, it's the setting. Don't blame your computer. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you for a few hours to play with these 3 new peripherals in Valorant. So you let me know what you like about them, as well as switch on the 8000Hz polling rate and then switch it off again and see if there's a difference.
Yeah, sure. Let's go and try it out.
Let's go. Okay, so we're back. Now I have a few questions for you. First and foremost, how do you feel about the Sabre RGB Pro mouse?
I think the click is very tactile, like you can feel it's like a premium switch when you click it. The shape of the mouse is actually nice. I like it as a palm grip user. It's not heavy, it's like maybe 60 gram I think.
Other than that, you were saying how you can still feel a little bit of drag with the keyboard because you're used to using a wireless mouse right now, right?
Yeah.
So, but does it feel better than other braided cables or rubber cables?
Even without a mouse bungee, it's manageable. Like, it's not that bad compared to wireless mouse.
Okay. How about the DPI switching? Do you think it's useful for certain players? Do they actually use that in the pro scene to switch between weapons and different DPI?
I've seen players that actually switch their DPI mid-game because when they use different weapons, like that definitely happens. But I think for this mouse, the downside is that you can only like increase the DPI. So if you want to go back down to a low DPI, you have to actually go through the entire cycle until you go back to your lower sensitivity profile.
I think the solutions are probably just disable some of the profiles or like just set them in alternative.
Yeah, you can set like 800 1.6, 800 1.6, or you just put 800 and 1.6 and just cycle between them.
Let's address the elephant in the room, okay? 8000Hz hyper polling rate, does it make a difference?
Yes. It felt like when you're using a 60Hz monitor, then you suddenly upgrade to 144 Hz.
Wow, that's such a huge statement to say because that is the biggest difference you'll feel when upgrading monitors. I mean, the difference between 144Hz and 240Hz is not as big as 60Hz to 144Hz, right?
Yeah.
The biggest difference I can see on screen, I don't know if you feel it, is when you are making very fast movements like swiping with the 8000Hz polling rate, the reaction on screen and your movement is almost instantaneous. Do you feel it?
Yeah, like it's buttery smooth, and I always flick a lot at first, but after a few games I slightly tweaked my sense to a more accurate one for this 8K polling rate. I started like flicking here and there, yeah.
So there's a huge difference when it comes to mouse. How about keyboard?
Yeah, this keyboard actually supports 8K polling rate, but unfortunately in Valorant they don't support 8K polling rate keyboard yet. But when I was doing typing tests outside Valorant, it actually feels pretty smooth and quick.
Which switch do you actually prefer? The red or the speed?
I like the Cherry MX speed more. It feels you have more control over it when you type something. Like it's very responsive.
Yeah, it feels smooth as well.
The feedback is good as well, yeah.
You know what? We'll just show you a little bit of a type test between the two keyboards to let you hear the difference between the two switches. Okay, now when it comes to the form factor of gaming keyboards, which do you prefer for gaming? Is it gonna be the 60% in the K65 RGB Mini or the K70 RGB TKL's 10K-less format?
I personally prefer TKL because I like having arrow keys.
You use it a lot in what kind of stuff, like productivity stuff?
Yeah, like typing notes or marking, watching replays and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have arrow key to like wind forward and rewind and stuff.
So is it refreshing to actually game with RGB for once? Because I know a lot of pro players actually turn off everything. Number one, maybe it's a little bit distracting. Number two, maybe it affects the latency a little bit. I don't know.
Competitive gamers, they don't like RGB because lighting equals to distraction. But this one, I think the lighting is very minimal and it doesn't shine that much compared to the older keyboards.
It's more diffuse, right?
Yeah, it diffuse like very minimal.
Actually, I put those two light towers side by side with the monitor to try to distract him, but apparently that doesn't do much because it's very diffuse. At the same time, I set it to the rainbow mode, which is nice.
I actually didn't notice
The two towers.
yeah.
Wow, so big also cannot notice. You blind, bro?
Huh?
Need glasses or not?
Too focused into
This
the
video
game.
is brought to you by. And that's everything that we have to tell you about Corsair AXON and their also 8000Hz polling rate. That is very insane. Do you think that's gonna be the new standard for gaming peripherals, especially the mouse?
I think it's gonna take some time to become a new norm, but I definitely see more
Competitive players actually using it.
yeah, competitive players will start using it and more mouse company will start releasing mouse with 8K polling rate. It's a really good technology, actually a decent upgrade for once in a very long time.
Yeah, because like they've been like upgrading the DPI, which nobody cares about, right? Because this guy plays at 800 DPI.
I mean, 800 DPI is all you need. 800 to 1.6, okay?
If you still cannot pull off headshots at 800 to 1006, right? Maybe you know what you need?
You need to get good.
Or get home. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and hit the notification bell to see more content like this. And you can find Fayde where?
On twitch.tv/FaydeVRR.
Where he will be streaming in a bathtub.
Bathtub?
Oh, you're not
I'll
a
do it with
bathtub
you?
streamer. No, wow! And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.